All right, welcome, kings and queens. Listen, I wanted to hop on and just share some things with you. Shanquella's dad recently did a very emotional interview where he shared his thoughts, his feelings, and his depiction regarding the death of his daughter and what he thinks happened, or what he knows happened, okay? And there was something in that man's voice that really made me feel compelled and empowered to stay on top of this case. Let me be clear before I jump in. Please do not come on here in the comments asking for us to stop posting about this. I'm going to post about it, and I want you to know that I would do the same for you or your loved ones. There's something in the way that man became emotional and he teared up about his daughter. And I feel like they're needing us to help them fight, y'all, and to keep Shanquella's memory alive until justice is served. Okay? He shared that he felt like all of this was pre-planned and premeditated. Let's take a look.
The whole nation, the whole world need to see that it was not no alcohol poison from what they said, and which deep down in my heart, I know it was, from the get-go. So I told him to go ahead and send it. Even though she was there naked, they were hitting on her, couldn't be there to, to do nothing. And I know they took over there, man. It wasn't nothing but premeditated, envious and jealous of her.
Okay, I didn't show you the entire video. I feel like there's a lot of bloggers out there that do a wonderful job of doing that. I just wanted to get to the points that I wanted to talk about, and I want to hone in on what he feels as the father, pre-planned and premeditated. What are your thoughts? Okay, what are your thoughts? He shared that also in this interview, they asked him, does he feel like law enforcement is doing enough? Is he happy with law enforcement? And he shared that he's relying on God, and that each and every day God is pulling back layers and layers of this story as it gets deeper and deeper. Okay? So the first thing that comes to my mind is, I'm going to ride with the parents. Okay? Who am I? The parents know. They're closer to this than anybody. So I'm going to have to ride with the parents today. And if the parents feel like it's premeditated, I'm going to back them up 100% in my commentary. Therefore, I am going to lean in with the argument for today's commentary that this was indeed premeditated. There are 5 things that we're going to focus on. You might want to get a pen and a piece of paper for this. I'm going to call out the items that we're going to walk through just to give you some bullet points at first. Then I'm going to come back, I'm going to spin the block, and we're going to do a deep dive into each bullet. Number 1, this was indeed premeditated. Number 2, Nazir knew ahead of time what was going to happen. Number 3, Khalil is a snake. Number 4, did they mean to take her life? And number 5, there's a common word that's being used by 3 parties. All right, let's get into it. Premeditated. This was indeed premeditated, and it may have started in June of 2022. If this is premeditated and the father and the mother strongly believes it is, they started planning this in June. What I need you to ask yourselves is, what happened in June or prior to June? Give yourself a 90-day window, okay? So April, May, June. Something happened with this group. Feel free to go look at their social media pages. I don't know what happened, but what I'm saying, there was a trigger to cause this domino effect. And the questions that we should be asking is, what happened in June or prior to June that set this plan in motion? I know there's been a lot of speculation that someone's cousin may have been unalived. Does anyone know the date? Was that before June? Was that after June? Or is it just simple speculation? Because if it was after June, it's simple speculation. You can count that out. What happened that caused them to come together as a group and plan this trip and plan this attack to happen in Mexico? Number 2, Nazir knew ahead of time, like all of them did. I don't give a damn when he flew over to Mexico. Forget all of that. Don't get caught up in that. Those are lies. Those are smoke. That's smoke and mirrors. From June to October, I strongly believe he knew ahead of time. Since the summer, what was going to go down. But his get out of jail free card is using the technicality of coming late as having no knowledge. I didn't know. I came late. Don't get caught up in that, y'all. If you had no knowledge, follow me. If he truly had no knowledge, then how can he turn around in the same breath and share with the entire world that this is way deeper than what we think or what we know? That came out of his mouth. If you didn't know, bro, then what the hell are you talking about? You got a lot of knowledge, and you're also street smart, Nazir, and you know how to get yourself out of trouble, which is why you booked that flight later on purpose, in my opinion. I believe Nazir has been playing with y'all and playing in your faces about that time zone shit, and it's all an act, and it's being used as a cover-up for himself, okay? So based on Nazir's live Instagram, he's the one that gave us the month of June. Let's take a look.
So I'm like, let me extend my birthday, and I'm going to go to this trip. Because I got asked to go on the trip in June.
We can now substantiate. That's when the ball started rolling for whatever reason. We don't know the reason yet. He stated that the group planned this in June, and he wasn't sure that he wanted to go along. He gave us the impression that at the last minute he decided to go. My question to him would be, did you decide to go because you wanted to see it happen? Or did you decide to go because you were pressured into creating an alibi for the group? Or you volunteered? Hell, forget pressure. That's the wrong word. Or because you were the alibi for the group. Either way, you were forewarned, my guy. You knew what was going to happen. All right, keep in mind that everything that I am talking about today is based on her father's recent interview. All of my thoughts are centered around everything that he shared recently, which take us to point number 3. Khalil the snake. He is the head of the serpent. And when I say serpent, I mean this entire situation. If you can figure out how Khalil moves, you can figure out this entire case. He sat on both sides of the fence. And at this point, he can't say shit against the rest of them because he walked Shanquella into harm's way. So they got him exactly where they want him. So ask yourselves this, because this is what I'm asking myself. Number 1, who put him up to it? And number 2, why? He knew the family. He knew Shanquella extremely well as her best friend. This is so effing scary, y'all. Think about your best friend setting you up, telling the other side of the fence, I got it. They trust me. She trusts me. So she gonna think she good, and then her family's gonna think she's good. Yeah. They planned this in June, and he literally led her to her demise. He was the only one she trusted. And he knew what was going to happen since June. Now, with me saying this and just sharing my thoughts today, go back and look at that video of him and Shanquella walking down that dark hallway together. I bet you have a completely different outlook on that now, don't you? Knowing that this man helped these people plan this since June. Okay? That's why he was trying to hurry up and let them know she was coming. He's the weakest link in this case, not to be confused with innocence. This video of her walking down that hallway makes complete sense to me now. They were gearing up and pumping themselves up to do what they came to do. You even heard one of them say on the tape, go back and listen to it. Yeah, I'm going to keep it hot.
I'm going to keep it hot. You going to keep it hot, what?
They were trying to pump themselves up in that room. Now listen very carefully. In my opinion, this completely debunks Winter's lie. And I'm going to say, in my opinion, it's a lie. Of Shanquella saying, you remember Winter hopped on live and said Shanquella said something effed up when she was drunk, quote unquote, allegedly. No, ma'am. We heard y'all on tape. Okay? Shanquella, y'all were already talking about it, in my opinion, of what you was going to do to her. Shanquella wasn't even drinking then. Okay? That plan was already set in motion. So I'm going to come back to that. Shanquella's father said, God keeps exposing layers of this case each and every day. So not only are we finding out things each and every day, so this, he is too, okay? This should be a clear, cut and dry case based on video. An arrest warrant has been issued. What the hell are we waiting on? That means there's so much more to this, y'all. So much more. But here's a layer that we may have already figured out. They were already talking about it in that room.
I'm going to keep it hot. You going to keep it hot, what?
And it had absolutely nothing to do with Shanquella saying something that pissed them off. That was a lie that Winter gave to the public in order to blame the victim. For whatever reason, they knew they could attack her in Mexico. We can assume, based on Shanquella's sister, based on her sister's interpretation of what happened before Shanquella left to Mexico, I am assuming that Shanquella may have been invited at the last minute. I've been saying that, I think, for quite some time. So much so that she had to borrow luggage from her sister. Are y'all following me? Because I don't think you are. Why did it take us this long to figure out? Look, Shanquella has more than enough money to purchase luggage. It had to have been a last-minute invite that she had to run to her sister's house, y'all, to get luggage. They gave this girl a limited amount of time to respond to the invite. So much so that she didn't even have time to go out and buy luggage. Definitely last minute. But let's talk about who would know how to get her to go. Why did she go? And I'll tell you what I think. First reason she went is because her best friend, Khalil, convinced her to go. Think about it yourselves. What in the world could your best friend say to you that at the last minute you would agree to go to Mexico? So last minute that you have to borrow luggage because you weren't planning to go. We know she had the freedom and the flexibility and the financial capability to go because she's an entrepreneur, okay? He said something to her to convince her to go. Either way, this is what I'm thinking. Sorry, I have two theories about Khalil. My first thought is, I believe he lied to her and made her believe this was a last-minute trip that they just planned for whatever reason. That's the first theory. This is not fact, y'all. This is just a theory that I'm thinking in my head. Or number two, he came up with some reason and played on Shanquella's emotions and convinced her that he didn't want to go without her being there because maybe he wasn't comfortable. He didn't want to go with the others without her. That was a lie, right? Either way, it was a lie. Whatever he said to her is a lie. Not only is it a lie, it's cold-hearted and cold-blooded, baby. Shanquella don't fool with them folks like that. Her family shared that these are not people she would ever travel with. These are not people they even know or have, that boy set her up. He waited until they had shit planned out since June. Then he invited her. Khalil knew exactly how to do it and when to do it. He's the missing link, but he's also a hell of a key player. Number 4, did they mean to take her life? Well, considering everything that we know today, I don't think they ever planned for her to make it back to the United States. Because you just can't beat someone like that and expect them to be quiet. Unless there's something else that's lurking in front of us that we haven't connected the dots yet. I mean, at this point, I'm asking out loud, just thinking out loud, was this attack supposed to be a form of intimidation? And if so, for what? But then the question still remains. Then what? Had she lived, what happens next? Imagine if you go to Mexico with a group and they attack you the way Shanquella was attacked, and you are fortunate enough to live. What happens next? What's your next step? You see what I'm saying? You can't expect me not to tell, especially with the damage that you did, right? The damage that they did to her face. So she was supposed to come home and forget it ever happened? Not tell anyone that you beat her? There's so much more to this case. I have a really strong feeling. I don't know what it is, but there's a shitload more to this case. That beating symbolized something, be it intimidation or another strong message. So did they mean to take her life? I'm going to go with the parents on this one. That's where it becomes complicated because they intentionally planned to do this in Mexico, according to the parents. Shanquella's father has said before, earlier on, when he did earlier interviews, he said his words were somewhere along the line that they knew they would need to do this elsewhere and not in North Carolina because her friends and cousins would have responded. This was definitely a setup. Khalil walked her into a lion's den. She had no idea what she was walking into. Don't believe anything that Winter Donovan says, alleging that Shanquella said something offensive while drunk. We call bullshit on that. I don't think Shanquella could have said or done anything right that night. The plan was already in motion, y'all.
I'm gonna keep it hot. You gonna keep it hot, what?
Okay, hypothetically. Let me not be so fixated and so strong on my opinion. Let's just say, hypothetically, let's just say that Shanquella did say something that they felt was off or they didn't like. They still use that as an excuse to cue up the attack. Her mother stated that Shanquella was as sweet as pie and she would not hurt anybody. So if she said anything off, you were just looking for an excuse to pop off. I'm really convinced that y'all had a hard time carrying out your plan because she was a nice and sweet girl. That's why you were in that room planning. It wasn't as easy as you thought it was going to be. If she was a bad person, you would have swung on her as soon as you got there. Go back, watch that tape, feel the tension in that room when she walked in. Feel the tension at the dinner table while they were eating. She was the only one talking, baby. Her kindness was eating their asses up inside. Now that video of Khalil talking about we got our first dead body has come out, it makes complete and absolute sense to me. Each and every day, as I sit back and I think through this, I am able to connect more and more dots. This is the final point that I'm going to drive home, and we're going to wrap this thing up. Number 5, there's a common word that's being used, that has been used by 3 parties consistently. Nazir, Wiggins, Shanquella's mother, and Shanquella's father. All of them have used the word they when it comes to describing Shanquella being attacked. This is very telling. It's also concerning because if her parents have evidence or knowledge that the entire group is responsible for attacking Shanquella, listen real closely. This is a fact and not my opinion. All parties have consistently used the word they when describing the attack. You never hear them say her, referring only to Dejanay Jackson. I believe Nazir on that part. In my other videos, I said he's telling 50% truths and he's also telling 50% lies. Even he has said all of them fought her. Her parents keep saying they did this to my child. That means off tape because all we see is Dejanay fighting Shanquella, right? Okay? That means off tape, those men may have put their hands on Shanquella. Whew. Initially, Nazir claimed that he had no knowledge of this. He had no knowledge that an attack took place, and he did not know what the hell
She
happened.
was showing symptoms of alcohol poisoning. But I didn't know it was a fight. Hold on. I got my Bible. And I'm going to put this blunt down, because I'm not lying. I'm not.
If that's the truth, then how would you know who put their hands on her? How would you know that there is more to this story? You should be saying, if you were innocent and you have no knowledge, what you should have been saying, if you were really guilty, is exactly what the general public is saying. We're all saying Dejanay did it based on what we see, right? The rest is speculation. But you never said her. She hit Shanquella. She attacked Shanquella. You said they. Indicating to me that you know way more than you're pretending to know. The only video, if we were to believe you, Nazir, the only video you should be aware of, if you're innocent, is the one that the public has seen. Okay? Make it make sense. You also shared that this is way deeper than what we know. Pause, y'all. Pause. He shared he didn't know if he wanted to go in June. Is this because you knew what was going to go down? In my strong opinion, all of them played a horrific part in taking the life of Shanquella Robinson. That's my take, and I stand on it. Shanquella's father encouraged us to trust what we see and also said there's layers to this that God is revealing, encouraging us to stay on this as well as thanking everyone for their support. I'm going to stay on it. I'm going to stay on it. None of them are guilty. They all knew about it. Do your homework like I'm doing mine. Tap in. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you all for tuning in.